18 most dangerous tourist destinations. People go on vacations to relax and unwind, right? Apparently not, since these next couple places we're going to talk about will make you think twice about where you want to go on vacation. Whether it's the beach, a mountain, a forest, or even a zoo, there's lots of danger out there. So let's go explore some. 18. New Smyrna Beach. Forget all that fun in the sun, beach volleyball, sandcastle, and wave riding kind of weather. Florida is one of the top tourist destinations when it comes to beaches in the summer. But it's also a state that's home to one of the most dangerous tourist beaches in the world. At New Smyrna, there have been a recorded 238 cases of sharks being violent towards humans. In fact, the Guinness Book of World Records has it as the shark capital of the world when it comes to shark-related incidents. And it might have something to do with the fact there's a nearby inlet of water that is said to be an immensely fertile environment for sharks to find prey. Most of the time, these bull sharks are young and probably don't even realize they're going after humans instead of other fish. Still, it's best not to get too far out in the water. After all, there are other beaches in Florida. 17. Half Dome. This granite dome is located in the popular Yosemite National Park in California. As stated in its name, the Half Dome has smooth round sides save one, which makes it an interesting climb for willing rock climbers. Nearly 200 years ago, this Half Dome was considered perfectly inaccessible, but human will has seemed to prove that wrong. Or at least, as wrong as they could prove it. Half Dome is considered one of the most dangerous hikes in the United States, though up to 3,000 people visit the trail during the weekends in the summer. And since the surface can be incredibly smooth, that also means it's incredibly slippery. Apparently, there are up to 300 search and rescue incidents every year. 16. Olenick Gardens. These gardens are something right out of a Gothic novel. Located beside Olenick Castle in Northumberland, Olenick is one of the most dangerous gardens in the world. You wouldn't even know it at just a glance of pictures. There's neatly arranged shrubs and even a notable water cascade that people love to take a picture of when visiting. The gardens have been around since the mid-1700s, though they faded in glory after a while, only to be revived over 200 years later. With the revival was the addition of the Poison Garden in 2005, and Olenick has gained a new kind of popularity. Besides things like deadly nightshade, hemlock, and foxglove being planted in the garden, there's also education on addictive substances such as poppy and cannabis. 15. Death Valley National Park. Despite the name, Death Valley proves to be a popular tourist attraction. Mostly in part, there's a lot of great views to take in. From blooming flowers to scenic jagged surfaces and sand dunes, visitors come from all over to experience the outdoor scenery located in Eastern California. What makes this desert valley so dangerous, of course, is the heat. With temperatures reaching up to 134 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest temperature ever recorded on the Earth's surface. It's basically a huge, vast oven, and if you don't bring enough water here, the human body can only last a couple hours. Strangely enough, incidents involving cars is another reason why Death Valley is so dangerous, as there's very steep downhill roads that people may not realize are there. 14. Cliffs of Moher. Most people might recognize the Cliffs of Moher, as it is an iconic landscape in Ireland that lots of movies like to set their epic cliffside scenes in. And as beautiful as it is, walking alongside these cliffs is also really dangerous, and not just because they're so high up. In fact, you would be about 700 feet or 210 meters up from the water below. Couple that with the fact that the grass gets wet and slippery often, and the winds can be really strong, these cliffs are no stranger to people becoming susceptible to these conditions. As long as you stick to the path laid ahead of you, things should be fine. But many visitors like to venture out a little closer to the edge. Some do so on purpose and jump. 13. Ilha de Queimada Grande. If your Portuguese isn't so good, Ilha de Queimada Grande also goes by the name Snake Island. It's considered the deadliest island in the world and can be found on the coast of Brazil in the Atlantic Ocean. Snake Island is so named as it has the highest concentration of venomous snakes on Earth. About 90 miles away from Sao Paulo, the island here is home to thousands of lancehead vipers whose venom can take down one human in less than an hour, making these vipers the deadliest in the world. Word has it that some of the snakes were placed on the island a long time ago by pirates who wanted to protect their gold. Since there's no ground predators on the island, snakes are able to thrive more freely. 12. Boa Viagem Beach. Like New Smyrna, this is another beach that's notorious for being infested with sharks. A nice view of the beach, and you'd think it was like any other beautiful waterside destination in South America. The water seemingly clear, the setting tropical and sunny. But there have been 56 shark incidents in the past 20 years, 21 of them being fatal. The sharks near this beach are said to be highly aggressive, being a mixture of bull and tiger sharks that reside here. The trench near the coast is used by sharks as a sort of migratory guide, and it makes it easier for them to hunt. The water here, as you can see, is also clearer, so it draws in sharks that are escaping more polluted waters. 11. Mount Washington. Located in New Hampshire, Mount Washington is a popular natural landmark as it is the highest peak in the northeastern region of the United States. It stands at 6,288.2 feet tall, or 1,916.6 meters. So not only is it super high up there, but the area also holds the record for the highest recorded speed of winds at 203 miles per hour, or 327 kilometers per hour, the fastest in the world. And then there's the fact that it's also a really cold environment, if you couldn't tell by the frozen over buildings. The temperatures here reach as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit, with the snowfalls here heavy. Compared to other peaks in the world, it's actually not that tall, and yet it's still one of the most dangerous. 10. Danakil Desert. You'll find this desert in southern Eritrea and northeast Ethiopia in East Africa. The Danakil Desert spans over 100,000 square kilometers and is an arid environment. The site at this desert is a lot different than you're used to seeing in other deserts of the world. Instead of just sandy dunes or brush-ridden surfaces, the outdoors here appear more alien-like, otherworldly. Temperatures reach up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit or over. Plus, it's home to things like geysers and volcanoes. If that kind of heat doesn't scare you, then maybe the fact that those geysers and volcanoes are also known to spew out toxic gases will. To visit the Danakil Desert, not being accompanied with an experienced guide is prohibited. 9. Volcanoes in Hawaii. There's a few things people love visiting the islands of Hawaii for: the beach, the food, the culture, the good vibes, and the volcanoes. If it's the last option on that list that intrigues you, then Hawaii is the perfect vacation spot for you, as it's riddled with volcanoes, a lot of which you're allowed to visit. These volcanoes are often active, and that's part of the thrill. A few tours will only need you to pay a fee, somewhere around $100, and then you're driven to the volcanic sites. The threat of lava flow and release of toxic gases should always make anyone really wary. What makes these trips so dangerous is not just the fact you're going right up against an active volcano, but the fact that the ride down from them on a bike is very tricky. 8. Chamonix Mont Blanc. Nestled between Switzerland, France, and Italy is this part of the Alps, which is the highest summit of the mountain range. People come here all the time for the skiing resorts, of course. As a result, the tourist traffic is rather high, but that popularity shouldn't deter you from the fact that this place is one of the deadliest mountains in the world. There's an estimate of an average of 100 hiker fatalities every year. Even though it's said to not be a difficult climb, Mont Blanc is the tallest mountain in Europe. Because the mountain is so accessible, loads of people visit all the time, trying to climb the 15,780 feet above them. 7. El Caminito del Rey. Speaking of climbing, El Caminito del Rey is referred to as the most dangerous hike in Spain. It's located in a remote part of Andalusia and is a prime spot if you're a danger seeker. The path in this photo shows that it's thin and full of space. Not the space that you can walk on. Rather, space where you can't walk at all. It's known as the King's Little Pathway and has been around for at least 100 years, standing over 350 feet above the ground, or 100 meters. At times, all you have to cross is just part of a steel beam. 6. The Colorado River. You're probably wondering, what's more dangerous about the Colorado rivers compared to other rivers? Tourists love to whitewater raft here all the time, but just in the last decade, there have been at least 12 fatalities and over 176 injuries concerning the river system. Many underestimate how strong the water can be, and often are not properly equipped. To add to that, there's also been way too many cases of people being intoxicated while trying to travail the waters. 5. Kokoda Trail. If you think you're up for a hike through the forests of Papua New Guinea, keep in mind that it's going to be humid and full of leeches. The Kokoda Trail is said to be one of the most dangerous rainforest hikes you could take. The trail spans about 100 kilometers, or 60 miles, which would take hikers about 6 days to get through if they hiked 10 hours a day. It also comes with a bunch of mosquitoes that could possibly be carrying malaria. Not only is nature a big factor into how dangerous the whole experience could be, the area has been known to be prone to crime, with others preying on tourists not familiar with the area. 4. Madidi National Park. Madidi National Park is located in Bolivia. You see the dense forest in this photo, but really most of the scenes out of the park are actually quite scenic. Found in the upper Amazon River basin, the park has a span of 18,958 square kilometers. It is a wildly protected site, but it also has its share of dangers in the form of poisonous plants. Animals here are said to be highly aggressive too, with lots of creepy crawlies being tropical parasites you don't want anywhere near you. 3. Pattaya Elephant Kingdom. Now this is a place that seems to have been designed to put you in danger. Tourists that visited the Pattaya Elephant Kingdom in Thailand get to be all up close and pretty personal with the animals found at the tourist attraction, which from the name, it's inferred that it's mostly elephants. But one of the biggest attractions on the site is the floating cage over waters that are just full of crocodiles. In fact, just last year, Pattaya Elephant Kingdom was closed since there were many safety concerns, with the floating cage being one of them. The wooden platform holds up to 15 people and has a 1.5 meter high fence, which has been deemed not safe enough for tourists to be behind. 2. Kamchatka. Located in Kamchatka, Russia, is a place known as the Valley of Geysers. That name in itself doesn't seem so threatening, does it? In the Far East region is this valley, which also happens to spew a bunch of toxic gases into the area. How toxic? Well, it can affect every living thing in sight, from humans to animals to plants. The more concentrated the geysers are, the less plants you'll see in the area. Humans exposed to the gases are said to feel quite sick afterward. 1. Washon Plank Path. The Washon Plank Pathwalk is located on Mount Hua in the Shaanxi province of China. That wooden path you see before you is all climbers have to step through in order to explore the steep mountainside. It is part of the 5 Great Mountains of China and is considered a sacred area. You don't even have to know much about it to know that this is one of the most dangerous hike tourists love to go on. If you're easily scared of heights and not the most balanced of people, this place is certainly not for you. The elevation of the mountain is up to 2,154 meters, or 7,067 feet. Not the highest in the world by a long shot, but with a pathway like that, even if you're just a couple hundred feet off the ground, the surface you're walking on really matters.